One day, you're going to die. Now, growing up as a kid, I was always afraid of death. I hated funerals. If I went to a repast, I didn't even eat the food because I didn't want it to come and death somehow invade my body. But as we went along, and I said, I don't want to die. I hated the thought of death. And even as a psychologist, death and dying was never my favorite topic. I often told my wife, I always wanted to die before her because the thought of living without her was too difficult. But on September 6, 2017, the strongest Atlantic hurricane ever on record, Hurricane Irma, visited our island with winds of 185 miles per hour, sustained and gusting over 200 miles per hour. As me and my family of 5, my 3-year-old daughter, my 3-year-old son, my 8-year-old daughter, we huddled in one room and we waited for the hurricane to arrive. At that moment, at 10:15, a wall broke down. We had to grab our family and crawl onto this wall and run upstairs to my parents. There I met the rest of my family members. It was now 10 of us. As we continued to wait and sit there, the pressure from the wind began to become so enormous that it started to break all the glass in the house. We went from one room to the other. We went to the dining room, and just to have that whole glass table blow up in front of us, we ran back to the living room. My twins crying, family members wondering what will happen. At that moment, I heard a sound that I will never want to hear ever again. That is the sound of wood and galvanized and steel ripping through concrete and the roof being blown from on top of your head. I looked at my family and I said, we have to go. So as we began to run back downstairs, we passed the room where my mom still had embarrassing pictures of me hung up, and that roof went. As we were running down, I had to reach back to my twin daughter to ensure she wasn't sucked out of a window. At that moment, as we ran down, we ran into a room that was designed as a pass-through. 10 of us ended up in this room that was 6 feet by 4. And we wanted to escape, but we couldn't because my father and I had to brace our back against the door because at that point, the wind was invading our space. And the room on the other side was shut tight because it was swollen shut, flooded from the other side. We were now stuck in this room. And as we looked around at each other, I was looking at my family members and saying, this is crazy. But then I accepted for some reason that this may be the possible end. But I looked around and stopped and said, you know what? I don't want to die on a Wednesday. I always wanted a more biblical day, like a Friday or a Saturday or even a Sunday. But a Wednesday? Who is going to die on a Wednesday? So as we continued to sit there and look around, my brother said, we need to pray. And we started to pray. My niece started to sing a song in her angelic voice. And at that moment, I looked around, all 10 of us now in this room. Family members starting to cry. At that moment, I said, this could be my possible end. Not an ominous end, but the end nonetheless. At least I was dying with the people I loved. But then I paused. I said, if I was able just somehow to escape out of this room, what would I do? With living with the end in mind, if I was just able, somehow we were able to escape alive, what would I do? The first thing I said, I would live on purpose. See, what happened is before the storm came, I used to go around life, and just like most of us, we used to take days off, or a couple days off. We Netflix and chill just a little bit too long. Now, some of us are sitting here and we're thinking that our jobs are our purpose. It could be, but you need to make sure that you're living your purpose and doing everything you can to make an impact. See, when you're trapped in a room and thinking you're going to die, it starts to make you think, if I get another chance to do better, to do something great, I will live every moment on purpose. Now, see, that's important because when you're trapped in a room, and now we're back in this room, my father and I, we're still bracing up against the winds, we're still trapped, and now the water is starting to come in. My twins, who were just young, are now crying, and it's getting hot, we're running out of fresh air. And I said, you know what? If I'm able to get out of this room and I want to live on purpose and I want to do something great, here's something that I need to do. I need to start to visualize something really outside of this room. Yes, I have a purpose in mind, but this current circumstance that I'm faced with does not resemble it. So I said, I'm going to visualize it. So in spite of the hot air, the winds, the rain, the tears, and the destruction that was happening outside, I visualized something greater. Something outside of my current destruction. Now, if you're living with depression or anxiety or fear, that's all you know. It's your current situation. But I want to tell you how you live with the end in mind. You get to this point, you have to visualize it. Now, here's when you visualize it, you have to protect it because everything around you is telling you to give up. It's hot. You don't know when the storm is going to end, but you have to protect it. Visualize it. Hold on to it because this may be the only hope that would allow you to get out of this room. So now we're visualizing it, and I'm looking around, and it becomes even worse. See, this is the thing that happened. 5 minutes in this room turned into 10 minutes, 10 minutes into 20, 20 into 30, 30 into 40, 40 into 50, and now almost an hour of trapped in this room. And you're starting to get headaches, and you're starting to lose your breath, and you're starting to think that the end is really near. And a silence invades the room as we wait to die. But I kept visualizing there's something on the other side of this door. There is hope on the other side of this door. And people, and my people in the British Virgin Islands, as I walked over, as we escaped out of that room and we were able to get out and go on, there was something that I realized that our people did throughout the territory. They pushed. See, what happened is as I counseled and met with groups and family who lost everything, lost loved ones, families, business, faith communities, just ripped apart, families separated. These people, we continue to push in the face of obstacles. But this is how I realized that I had to do the same thing, and I did. In that room, when we decided that silence hit the room, I said, well, this is the end. But I said, you know what? Maybe I should just try to push down this door that's swollen shut. So as the peace and giving up started to invade us, I started just separated from 6 or 3 inches from this door and banging my shoulder against this door repeatedly. And pushing with all I have. Not a lot of space, not a lot of time, but pushing, not knowing when the end will be, but just keep pushing because I had to escape. I had to say that at least if I died in this room, I died pushing. But here's what happened. I was pushing and people tried to tell me to calm down, but my brother came and he started to push with me. Important lesson. Sometimes in life, when you're going through, you could push as hard as you can, but it's nothing better when you have someone pushing with you. So we pushed our way and were able to break down that door and escape that room. Now, people all over the world, no matter where you are, you're trapped in situations where you feel like the end is near, you're going to give up. Just like myself and the resilient people in the Virgin Islands, you can push, but you need to get someone strong with you. Living with the end in mind doesn't mean that you're living ominously. Living with the end in mind says that you're going to engrasp a hope and a vision that allows you to push your way through obstacles. Yes, one day you're going to die, but you're going to die pushing your way and overcoming everything that you're faced with. Edgar A. Guest said, when you're up against a trouble, meet it squarely face to face. Lift your chin, set your shoulders, plant your feet and take a brace. When it's vain to try to dodge it, do the best that you can do. You may fail, but you may conquer. See it through. No matter what you're going through, live with the end in mind. See it through, visualize it, but push through every obstacle in your life. Thank you.